Wait, no, that doesn't sound right at all. Ah, yes. There they are, scary strings. Dead Space is one of those classic horror games that I personally couldn't be bothered with when it came out in 2008. I'm one of these types that has a distinct aversion to horror. So then why did I put myself through 12 hours of the Dead Space remake? Well, for the music, of course. Have a look yourself. I'm of the opinion that to create a fantastic horror score, there has to be some unpredictability. Obtuse, confusingly mixed instruments, tons of dissonance. We always want to feel kind of off-kilter, like we don't really know what direction to go in. It really makes us feel uncomfortable. And while sound design does play a hugely important role, the sounds the necromorphs make when they lunge at you. I would like to speak to you. Oh my god! The way Isaac moves ploddingly in his suit. It's the music when a necromorph jumps out of a ventilation shaft that really makes you, well, crap yourself. Hello? You hear the alarm call? Why is my heart? To me, one of the most prominent features of this particular soundtrack is the use of strings and brass as tools of horror. Very frequently, we have these long passages of strings bowing in dissonance. You literally hear two violins just constantly as if they're like pressing up against each other. Dissonance is a clash of two or more notes where they just don't feel quite right, or movement by steps that don't really go anywhere. There is this incessant feeling of nails on a chalkboard. No. Which is fascinating because, of course, the game is fully orchestrated with instruments that can make incredibly beautiful sounds if there's a melody that's written for them. So it's funny to hear them with this really almost disgusting quality to them. It's also noticeable in the lower brass. Trombones and French horns, they lean into the low notes and they almost sound as though the players are pushing breath forcefully out to create this mechanical quality. It has this like sound. It's impressively scary. This much is apparent in several examples throughout the soundtrack. Most notably, to me, Hunger for Stars. This track has this profoundly alarming, hair-on-edge section where there is literally like the sound of whispering as a musical gesture of the chorus with some sort of like chatter. If I heard it in a dark room alone, I would immediately have a panic attack without question. Of course, The Dead Survive is also an astoundingly menacing track, playing with dissonance in the horns as well as with the female singers here. The strings eliciting this spider-like movement as they play. There's this constant feeling of being chased, even though the sopranos and the singers and a lot of the instruments are holding these long phrases. It's what's happening over top that creates most of the discomfort. The constant pumping of the drums gives us the impression of our hearts racing in fear as we do our best to survive an onslaught of necromorphs in the darkness. It speeds up in time as well, so it builds on that suspense. Another track that's really fascinating to me is Zero Gravity. Of course, we are suspended in midair in zero gravity, spinning sometimes uncontrollably too far to the left or to the right without a real sense of direction as we attempt to adjust and fix things and do our jobs so that we can escape the USG Ishimura. The orchestra here is sustained, pulsing slowly out like long exhales and inhales. But it's interesting because over top we hear the scampering of little necromorph babies, but with the use of the cello, almost like the musicians are slapping their cellos and creating the sound of like this. It's very alarming. It makes us feel like right below us, as we're floating through this anti-gravity area, those necromorph babies are waiting to spit poison at us and surprise us. It's another example of how we can stretch and pull and tease out, an underpinning of sustainment while creating discomfort over top. In a way, it's the antithesis of melody. It's almost vile. It feels uncomfortable. It doesn't feel normal. Nicole's theme too, solo piano, is also interesting. It is sad and painful, repeated patterns in the left hand as the right hand plays a simple counter melody of stepwise motion, of skips and steps. Even there's this feeling of being uprooted and ungrounded. There is no comfort in this game. Really, throughout the entire soundtrack, there's always this feeling of dis-ease. It's a funny thing, but listening to the soundtrack out of context of the game was actually deeply unsettling for me. Usually, I believe that we should listen to soundtracks out of context and allow ourselves to be immersed and imaginative, but in the case of the Dead Space remake, this soundtrack was something that I frankly didn't enjoy listening to out of context. But then again, maybe it's not the type of music that you listen to for fun, or, on a nice drive during a summer day. It does highlight my main thought, though, that this is why music is indeed so powerful. Whether it's falling in love, seeing the sunrise, fighting a heroic battle, or fighting horrors in the darkness of the USG Ishimura, music has the capacity to take anything and elevate it to an entirely new level. I literally feel like there are spiders crawling up my back right now after listening to these tracks. They are deeply alarming and make for an experience that is really, really unique. Anyway, if you want to play a game like Dead Space, while certainly I wouldn't play it just for the music, I definitely think you'd be really happy with the experience. The music just adds so much and genuinely makes for a really uncomfortable experience. Oh my god! Oh! It's very unique and in a way fresh, even though it came out in 2008 and this is a remake. Also, that dope French horn pulsating whenever you get a new weapon is seriously awesome. As always, if you like this, feel free to like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.